Dee was one of the most caring and giving people you could ever imagine.
She was a good person. She was outgoing, she was spunky, to say the least.
She loved to be together.
She was a strong woman.
She protected everyone.
As far as the children, she couldn't be any better. And then when grandchildren came along, I mean, she just lit up like a star.
She was adamant that she is Nana and not a grandma.
I mean, this woman would step in front of a bullet for them in a heartbeat.
It was certainly tough for the family to face my sister's remains in a man-made tomb.
She didn't deserve this. And I know deep down in my heart that she wouldn't want her children to live in remorse and grieve the rest of their lives. She loved them too much.
The case is not closed, so there's more work to be done.
There's one person that could stop all this madness.
"52-year-old Dee Warner, a mother of 5, missing more than 3 years.
The case has captured attention from Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan, across the United States and beyond. Now, 1,228 days later, her body has been found. Her death has been ruled a homicide.
She's gone, she took all her bags, so somebody picked her up.
And her accused killer is awaiting trial.
11 Investigates presents Hidden in Plain Sight, Dee Warner's story. Born Deanne Hardy, July 29th, 1968, missing April 25th, 2021, found deceased August 18th, 2024.
Dee lived here on Munger Road in Lenawee County with her husband Dale and their young child Angelina, just 4 miles from the spot that would eventually become her tomb.
Family and friends say they knew something was wrong when Dee didn't answer her phone or text messages.
This time was different, there's no doubt about that. The last time I ever saw her was Friday afternoon.
Her nephew, Parker Hardy, remembers thinking Dee wasn't herself in the days leading up to her disappearance.
I remember her getting out of the car. She was exhausted. She was babysitting my youngest cousin's youngest daughter. And I went to grab the baby for her, and she goes, "No, that's okay, honey, I got it." But normally our relationship is giving each other a hard time, joking, stuff like that. She was just head down, just different.
Was she defeated?
I think so.
People who knew Dee and people who didn't came together to search. They combed hundreds of acres over the next few days and weeks. Hardy says the case hit a brick wall until his mom, Dee's sister-in-law, was watching true crime TV.
That was a total mistake of my mom watching 48 Hours one night. And she grabbed my dad was asleep. She grabbed my dad the next morning and she said, "You gotta watch this guy."
That guy was Billy Little Jr., a private investigator. Dee's family says he volunteered his time and promised to leave no stone unturned.
This case will go on until there's an arrest, until there's a conviction in this case, until there's a civil lawsuit for wrongful death, that we are not stopping.
He said, "I'm here to find Dee."
Pro bono.
Pro bono. And he said, if the case leads me to you guys, he said, it's gonna lead me to you guys. I just wanna warn you that. Yes, I'm sitting here in your facilities, but if you had anything to do with this, it's gonna lead me to there. And we all said, go right on ahead.
Dee's family asked a judge to legally declare her dead in September of 2022. An attorney at that time for her husband, Dale Warner, said Dee had left before and may have just packed up for good this time.
There's easy ways to get identification from the internet, from resources overseas. You can get identification. You can even get a different identity. It's possible today, I guess, to even get a new social security number.
With no one charged in Dee's disappearance by May of 2023, her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Dale. He would be held in contempt of court in September when a judge ruled he ignored the court's order and sold off assets shared between him and his wife. Dale would be charged with murder and tampering with evidence in November of 2023.
We are back on the record in the state of Michigan versus Dee Warner.
In June, a judge ruled he'd go to trial without Dee's body being found until August 18th, when police found remains in a tank on property Dale owned, remains that would be identified as Dee's within 4 days.
Over the course of the next 30 minutes, we'll explore Dee's life and the legacy she leaves behind. We sit down with those who loved her, including her nephew, whose farm we are on. We'll also hear from people leading the investigation and one man who volunteered his time to help her family make sure the case didn't go cold.
But Dee's life is about much more than how she died. Her family will remember how she lived.
Dee was one of the most caring and giving people you could ever imagine.
Caring, in ways her family knew, and some they're still learning.
This woman would do anything for you once she got to know you, and there's stories coming in every once in a while of things that she did that we never even knew she did.
Dee would marry twice, have 5 kids, and 6 grandchildren at the time of her death.
She loved to be together. She would have all the farmers down to their barn, and they would have a big dinner. Dee was all about the glam. I mean, the food would always be perfect.
Hardy says that perfection and glam carried over into her professional life.
It got to a point where she was making the money. She knew what she had. It wasn't like she was spending out of control, where some people will say that from his family. It wasn't that. It was very much she was just enjoying the finer things in life. She knew she had earned that money. She felt like she deserved to have the nice car, have the nice clothing, go nice places and stuff like that, where he was the glitz and glamour didn't matter to him.
Him being her husband, Dale.
She was the driving force, in my opinion.
Catherine Adams started the group Justice for Dee and has been a lifelong friend of Dee's family.
She was adamant that she was Nana and not a grandma.
Even when they didn't want help, Dee offered and almost forced herself in to help at times.
And that family intensity, Hardy says, may have carried over into her public life as she dealt with people and handled business on and off the farm.
Dee suffered a little bit from, felt like she wasn't always socially accepted sometimes. Her personality was so strong that some people would shy away from it a little bit. Yeah, it could be off-putting at times when really she wasn't trying to do that at all. She was trying to help, but it was so forceful. I think a good example would probably be at the fair.
Oh yeah.
She was so forceful, she wanted everything so perfect for her 4-H kids that some of the other parents kind of took it a little bit offensive at times. And that wasn't how she wanted to be, but she suffered with that, I guess, a little bit of social anxiety.
She came off abrasive.
Abrasive, but ambitious. An ambition her family says showed on the farm, in her trucking company, and being part of what they called a man's world.
She had to prove her dominance, that she could survive in this type of industry. It wasn't like anybody was saying, "Oh, you're a woman, you can't survive in this industry." It's just, you know how it is when
Maybe she put it on herself too.
She did.
A little
I think
bit.
she did. She had a major drive to be successful.
But Hardy says she never let that drive get in the way of her relationship with her kids and her grandkids.
As far as the children go, I mean, she couldn't be any better. And then when grandchildren came along, I mean, she just lit up like a star.
And would want each of them to remember the good times, the food, the fun, and the family.
I can hear her saying, "What's done is done. It's time to live your life now." And I know deep down in my heart that she wouldn't want her children to live in remorse and grieve the rest of their lives. She loved them too much. I mean, this woman would step in front of a bullet for them in a heartbeat. At first I thought she'd committed suicide. I really did. She was
that distressed.
She was that distressed.
Still to come, the shocking revelation after Dee went missing and why her family thought the worst.
Family members shared their memories of Dee just moments ago here on their farm, and you heard about her strong personality along with a drive to succeed.
But another story has come up again and again over the last 3 years.
So what do you think she saw in him?
Power, success. She had a drive, as I mentioned, to be very successful. Her first husband did not have that at all. He was very just happy with what he had, you know, go from day to day, get your farming done, make a living, support your family. We're all happy. She wanted to build an empire, without a doubt.
You brought up Hatfield's McCoys when we were talking off camera, but just your memories, because coming into the family history, all of that, initial impressions, concern for Dee, obviously, going into a new relationship, things of that. Do you remember any of that?
Oh, I do. I don't remember it in exclusive detail, but I remember enough of it. It was an interesting time, let me tell you that. It was hard on the kids.
Why?
Because of the fights. There was just a lot, you know, when you have this wife swap situation, it just got he, she, they, theirs, and it was really hard on the kids.
Because you dropped the phrase wife swap. This was a scenario that you laid out, that you said, Dale was here, Dee was here, they were with other people, and there was a crisscross, essentially.
There was. Dee and Dale worked together at a custom application company, and that's kind of what drove them to start their own. And so sometime at work they met, and at a certain point there was a divorce between the two couples.
I want to go back to the power thing. Specifically, as those businesses started, how I guess influential was Dee? If she had this drive, if she had this initiative, and the two of them were already kind of conflicting in that sense, how involved was she in the businesses? How involved was she allowed to be in the businesses?
She was the driving force, in my opinion, and Dale was more of the quiet, you know, just did the work. You know, he was doing the spraying, he was doing the farming. Like, Dee was the boss at the desk. Dee was in charge of the logistics, all the things, and she was always wanting bigger and more, and Dale just kind of rode along with her. I mean, he is a hard worker, I will give him that, but...
Dale was the labor side of it.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Dee had this vision, and where Dale had the same vision, wanted it, but Dale was the one that would put the labor into it.
Mm-hmm. So
she was the thinker.
Do you think she loved Dale and Dale loved her at one time? Do you think there was ever love?
I think so, but I don't know that it wasn't always coated with that success story. That was really what she saw in Dale. Dale had this vision to build an empire. There was no doubt about it. And I mean, they took it by storm when they took her place down there and they transformed it into these new companies.
Family members say they will never forget the day that Dee went missing. For Catherine Adams, it only took a few days for her to realize that Dee wasn't coming back.
Police found Dee's remains just over 2 weeks ago on Sunday, August 18th, inside a fertilizer tank here on this property belonging to her husband.
It was a collaboration of a lot of things that led us to that point, without getting into huge detail.
Parker Hardy says his family worked with police to get to this point.
My father and I were the ones that originally saw him about 2 days after, working on that very tank. And it was always a weird thought to me on why he was doing that. He said, I told the guys that I hadn't been able to sleep at night, his workers. Told the guys that I hadn't been able to sleep at night, and I would, if they bring a few of these rusty tanks in, I would paint them at night when I couldn't sleep down here in this fertilizer barn. No cameras, no nothing. He said, but I didn't mean that rusty tank. He said, I meant one of the ones on wheels that just had a little bit of rust. That anhydrous is very corrosive, so it will rust the outside of the tank, and every so many years you paint the tanks. Just lather some white paint on them. And so that's what he said he was doing. In the back of my head, it was just very weird, but I drove out of there and kept working. My dad goes down the next day. That tank that he said he wasn't going to paint is still sitting there half painted now at that point. So that means to us, when we've been talking as a family, that she wasn't in that tank when I was there. She was in that tank when my dad was there the next day.
You know, with her being so tough, you would have never ever thought that something bad would happen to her like that, because she's more than capable. You know, she protected everyone.
Police found Dee's body 3 years later in a tank in this barn. Jeff, quite literally hidden in plain sight.
And what's fascinating is how close it was, just steps across Paragon Road, to an area that had already been searched.
This picture appears to show Dale Warner watching his crews searched and dug across the street from where Dee's body would eventually be found.
It was the first day or two that we started looking at sites, got confronted by Dale Warner.
What were some of those behaviors and statements?
He went from 0 to 60 in a split second. And out in the field, Greg Hardy said, in all the time he knew him, he'd never seen that behavior out of him before.
Take me through the investigation. What kind of leads did you get to, evidence that you found? Kind of take me through where this led you.
Family members tried to get a pattern or who she was, the kind of stuff she ordinarily did, and see if this was anything that was out of character for her.
Work that would turn from days to weeks to years until
there has been no plea deals with Dale Warner. The detectives were just reviewing evidence that they had, going over maybe some tips or some leads that had come in previously, and decided, yeah, this might be someplace that we want to check out again in case we overlook something.
This took 3 years too long.
This has been a long, drawn-out case, but again, it's just our detectives have been working hard on this case. And for the prosecutor to authorize charges on a no-body case, that means they've got all their ducks in a row.
In this case, finding the body makes the case much easier.
There's one person that could stop all this madness.
In our final minutes, finding peace, but maybe not forgiveness, and the lasting legacy Dee leaves behind.
Just over 2 months have passed since a judge ruled Dale will go to trial for allegedly murdering Dee.
And no date has been set here at the Lenawee County Courthouse. And Dee's family says the trial will be different, even as police searches continue.
I think it's because they're still trying to get more evidence. In fact, they were there searching yesterday. So I think that the case is not closed. So there's more work to be done. So before they tip their hat anymore, they want to get that.
I think they've got the cake right now.
Right.
They want the cherry on top of it. And we don't know what that is. That part we do not know what that is.
We have no idea.
There's some cherry that they are looking for that we don't know.
Specific people know how she died. Was that shared with you? And is that something that you will ever, I guess, reveal, talk about? Does it serve any purpose?
Yes and no. I don't know where they're going to take it, as far as from a criminal side, going through trial and all that type of stuff. It's going to be important, I know, through trial. I just don't know exactly what avenue it will be important. We do know what happened, for sure, and it's not been released to the public officially yet, so we're letting the public officials do that.
Is there a murder weapon?
No.
No?
Not that we know of.
Okay, I didn't know if that was something that was
No,
shared
I
with you.
shouldn't say no confidently. I should say not that we know of.
Are you very confident going into the trial, or is there any concern?
Here's the thing with the jury. In the jury trial, it's all about convincing the jury. That's all you have to do, is convince the jury. Or I shouldn't even say convince, but yes, that there's reasonable doubt. I don't know how you could turn this story upside down at this point. There was some cracks and crevices when we didn't have a body.
It's important to note Dale Warner has been charged but is considered innocent until proven guilty. He has not been convicted of any criminal charges related to Dee's death.
We did reach out to Dale's defense attorney to request an interview with her or Dale. She did deny that request. She did send a statement following the positive identification of Dee's remains. It reads, quote, "The latest update from the police confirms this tragic turn of events. However, this does not change Mr. Warner's position, and we are prepared to fight for him at trial."
Dee's family says even with the trial ahead, they'll find peace, but not forgiveness. I don't know if you're religious at all. We do stories like this. Family deals with grief, and then they find peace. Peace with the victim, peace with the perpetrator. Will you ever get there? Do you think you're there?
I don't think I'll ever have peace with Dale. That's after the last 3.5 years.
There is no doubt in your mind. I know he's been charged, but there is no doubt in your mind sitting here today that he is responsible.
No doubt whatsoever. I will never, I said in the very beginning of this, when I suspected him, I said, I want to be wrong. I really, really, really want to be wrong about this. I think we all said that.
I've been through this similar situation where my best friend was killed by a drunk driver. And kudos to the family. They're religious, and I'm somewhat religious, but I wouldn't call myself the utmost religious. They forgave him. And it takes some strong people to do that. That's what I will say. Some very strong people to forgive somebody that's done something to your family like that.
And while the name Dee Warner came into the spotlight after her disappearance, the call for justice has not quieted. Her family has pushed for answers, holding news conferences and vigils here on their property.
And that push has come from the community as well. And part of that hope, that message in the Justice for Dee campaign is not just about how Dee died, but about how she lived and how her story may be able to help others. We wanted to talk a little bit about Justice for Dee. And going forward, what does that operation mean to you guys? Will there be efforts from a state level as far as protections are concerned? Is it too soon to talk about that? Are these things that you guys have been thinking about the last 3 years?
So obviously we're not done yet. We still have to go through trial, sentencing, all that kind of stuff. So we still have a lot more to do for Dee as far as getting justice for her.
That includes an idea to secure crime scenes and areas of interest immediately when a person disappears.
Something that Shelley, Parker's mom, actually really wants is to maybe, I don't know if she wants to do like county level or state level, but create something so that when a person goes missing, that first 48 hours is so critical and the area is just locked down until the police can come in and look around and search or whatever they need. Just that first 48 hours. Some states do it. Michigan is obviously not one. So that's something I would definitely like to do.
And Justice for Dee aims to support other families who may be dealing with a missing loved one of their own.
And I think this kind of tails back on your previous question about what Justice for Dee will become. I think it needs to become an advocate for people like us where there was no book. I think we need to, and it's an idea of ours that we're working on, we need to write the book of how you go through this process, because there was no step-by-step, okay, you're going to host a visual. How do you host a visual? All this certain things. I mean, we just winged it all. And we were fortunate to have the resources of close friends and stuff like that that had a strong backbone, and we weren't going to back down, and we just did it.
I think
off of common sense.
Pure stubbornness was on our side.
Dee's legacy will continue to be felt at the Lenawee County Fair, where Dee grew up showing animals, eventually becoming a 4-H leader. Now, children will have the chance to win the Dee Warner Distinguished Junior Member Award.
She just adored her 4-H children. I don't know why, to be honest with you. It was just something that was a natural thing for her. And I mean, she would stress herself out beyond belief for this little fair. It takes a special person to have that much passion to do that little stuff. And it takes money, too. And so I started this yearly award in her name. What makes it special is we don't pick the recipient, the family, or Justice for Dee. I leave it up to the most important people, are the board members and the 4-H leaders that are working with the kids. They know the kids. I don't have the opportunity to know every single one of them, unfortunately.
Every year, the award will be presented to a junior member who shows excellent sportsmanship among his or her peers, showmanship, and passion for the industry and 4-H.
My goal is to make it something that the kids almost rival over in a good way. You know what I mean? It's meant to be, in my mind, one day a prestigious...
Well, that was her. She was competitive.
Exactly. And that's part of it. And then also just a prestigious award to show, to say to yourself down the road, God, what an honor. I was honored, or I was recognized as somebody that Dee Warner would be thrilled to know and congratulate.
We end our tribute here in Franklin Cemetery, just a few miles from the family farm, where Dee will be laid to rest among her family members.
And Melissa, the family telling us it was important to get the name right on the headstone.
Deanne forever etched in stone.
A lasting legacy for the life that Dee lived, and the community was a part of it all.